Today's guest needs no introductions, but here's some things that you need to know. Over 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, over 60 million views, and cleans over 200 roofs a year.
So please welcome, guys, Sid Partridge from Partridge Exterior Cleaning. Hello everyone, we are joined by Sid from Partridge Exterior Cleaning. We're going to jump straight in with question number one. Tell us about the early years, Sid. How did you get into the industry and what made you choose to specialise in jet washing?
So how far do you want to go back? Do you want me to just sort of like...
The origin story.
Right, okay, so...
Day one.
Day one, literally day one. I did a couple of jobs. I floated around for a while. Like probably all of us, not really sure what we actually want to do. I was a care worker for a bit, I was a salesman. Door-to-door sales for like insulation and things like that, and then I eventually landed in a job with my best mate. His dad owned a window cleaning business, so I landed that job there and it's brilliant. I was working with my best mate every day, but I was on £50 a day start, and obviously that was from like 8 in the morning till 5 on the night, usually 6 on the night. I used to have to go and collect our own money every Thursday because it was all like cash and stuff, so we'd have to go
proper old school.
Yeah, big time. So we'd have to go basically collect the money from the week, and that's how we'd get our wages. And I loved the job, absolutely loved it, but I was like, I can kind of do this myself. And I think the days that I went out on my own, I've earned my wages by like 9:30, and I was like, so I started my own window cleaning business. Problem is I didn't drive and I couldn't work where I lived because that was his patch. So I had to walk 25 minutes with my big ladders on my shoulder every single day to the sort of place that I could work. And it was a really rough area, but it was great. Problem was I started to stagnate a little bit, and I'd basically just earn enough money to pay my mum some rent and then go out beers on the weekend and stuff with everybody. So
living the life.
What age were you, like 21, 22?
19, I think. Yeah, around 19, so maybe just turning 20. And I think it was when I started turning 20, I was like, I've got to kind of get my life together. So I sort of took a bigger jump. I joined the Army Reserves and everything. I was like, right, I'm going in the Army, and that's what I'm going to do in my life. And then, my missus got pregnant, so that kind of halted that. And I was moving to Gloucestershire at the time as well. So it was a very awkward, crap situation.
How far is Gloucestershire from where you started off?
Like an hour, but I didn't drive.
Like a fair move, yeah.
Yeah, big time. So I was moving in with my dad, again, because I just wanted to try and sort my life out a bit, really. And but I didn't drive, and then so she was pregnant, and there was all this sort of thing. But me and my dad basically were like, right, we'll start this window cleaning business together. So I'd sold the few customers that I had in Birmingham where I grew up, and we started a window cleaning business. That went on for about 2 years, I think, but we were sort of a bit at each other's throats and arguing and stuff.
Difficult, but...
Yeah, and I was lazy as well. I was like really lazy. I wasn't getting up in the morning, so he was getting frustrated, but it's all that stuff. So then I ended up moving from there, and then I moved in with my missus back in Birmingham, started up another window cleaning business, and then same sort of thing happened. I'd do it for a couple of months, and then I'd start to stagnate. I'd sell my round, and I just got to a point where I had enough, and then we were moving again to here, where we are now. And when I came here, I thought in my head, I was like, I can't bear to start another window cleaning round again. And I just thought in my head, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but what's the best money I've ever made? And it was gutter clearing and roof scraping. So I think I'd done about 3 or 4 roof scrapes at this point, and by now I am 25. So again, I'd spent a 5-year stretch, kind of one area for like a couple of years, another area for a couple of years, and just set back to zero, like £1,000 in my bank account from the small round that I've sold. And I thought, I just need to make some money. I've got a baby, I need to just go. So I remember seeing a guy's van, and it was, I can't remember his name, but it just said jet washing, roof cleaning, gutter clearing. There's no window cleaning on it at all. And I was like, and he had a nice house and a nice area. I was like, if he can do it, maybe I can do it. So then that was that. So I rebranded from Partridge Window Cleaning to Partridge Exterior Cleaning, and then went from there. So that's basically how I got into it. So it was kind of like a roundabout way of window cleaning to transitioning into that eventually. So
you were jet washing, roof scraping and gutters.
So just roof scraping and gutter and fascia cleaning. That's all of us doing. I didn't even have a jet wash at this point.
So you do predominantly roofs now, right?
Yes, yeah.
At what point did that when was that point where you went from predominantly patios, like driveways, you're doing a lot of them, to then all of a sudden it was
just all roofs. So basically cheers mate, that phone's going to keep going
all
as well.
day,
yeah. So I'd been in Burton-on-Trent for probably maybe 3 months. I was struggling quite bad, but I was basically just getting a couple of roof scrapes here and there. And then while I was in the middle of like one roof scrape, like I say, I was getting like maybe like 3 or 4 a month. They were very sporadic. And I was just doing like really low cost Facebook advertising to get these jobs, and door knocking, a lot of door knocking as well. And then a lady came out, she said, "Oh, do you think you could clean my driveway?" I was halfway through this roof scrape basically, just standing up on this bungalow going at it. And I was like, yeah, of course I can, love. I've never jet washed a thing in my life before, not even like a car, never cleaned a car, nothing, because I didn't even drive at this point. I was getting dropped to jobs by my missus. So that night, we went to B&Q, I bought like the little £100 Karcher, and then went back the next day. It took me 2 days to clean it with this little £100 Karcher. While I was doing that, the neighbour came out and said, "Can you do mine?"
Oh,
then he
beautiful.
said, "I've got a house around the corner that's my mum's, can you do hers as well?" So by the end of those 3 jobs, it took me a full week. The Karcher was burnt, like literally melted, because it was ran so hot. Then I used that money to then buy a Wilkes, which is like a cheap Amazon.
Yeah, so
like
I bought my pressure washer because that's the one you used.
Yeah, was it? It's actually decent, isn't it? It's not too bad. Yeah, man, it's a beast. It wasn't never using a jet wash before, like a proper one. Going to that, I was like, this is crazy, nuts.
Yeah.
And then as basically we'll skip forward for the roof cleaning stuff there. I just started advertising more and more scrapes, and I was scraping for probably 2 years, and then I ended up investing in the hot washing setup and stuff like that, and then just gone from there.
So that was really the point where it went crazy as soon as you got that hot washing system.
Kind of. The scrapes were starting to just get better and better, because basically each time that I completed a roof, I'd go and buy a piece of equipment that I'd be thinking about while I was scraping that roof. I'd be like, this pole's too heavy, so I'm going to use all the money from this job, I'm going to buy a better pole. So I was basically just constantly
improving.
Literally every time I got paid, because I was living at my missus's parents' house, so I had like 250 quid to pay in rent to them. No insurance, no nothing, no car, anything like that. So basically almost all of my profit I could just send straight back in. I was quite lucky. So it was just that over and over and over again, basically just a reinvestment, like every single time, basically. And that lasted for 4 years. So genuinely, like, it's probably last year I started to take my first bit of profit.
Yeah.
So it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah,
so.
like that. Right, you've been for a few staff members over the last few years. How difficult is it to find, maintain and rely on them?
It is, for me, some people have an easy time doing it. For me, it's been the single hardest thing about the whole journey so far. So all the years I've been doing it, it's been the single hardest thing, because it's not easy. And I know I've got a good friend of mine with a decent window cleaning business. He has the same problem there, but he tends to get a lot longer out of his sort of guys than I would. I think the problem with the roof cleaning is, I've said before, it's very hard to train people, because window cleaning, give them 6 weeks, they're probably still going to be a bit naff, but they'll have the basic understanding, and you could put them on a job and you might get a couple of complaints here and there, but it's going to be okay. With roof cleaning, every job is different. There's scaffold towers, there's load of ladder usage, there's different chemicals, there's a million different things, there's valleys, dormers, aerials, a million things on a roof that you've got to watch out for. So you can't just hire somebody and go, there you go mate, jump up on that scaffold tower and start cleaning the roof, because they're going to hurt themselves or they're going to damage the thing. So that's the biggest problem. It takes a very long time to train. By the time they're trained up and decent enough, you're at that point where most businesses, when they employ, I think, I can't remember what the average is, like with turnover rate of staff and stuff, but it's like you'll get like 3 to 6 months, and that's that key moment where people are going to leave or they're going to stay for a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's getting past that 6 months basically, because they don't even really, they're not good at the job until that point, because it takes that amount of time to train. So that's been my biggest problem basically. It's the time investment into people and just praying that they work out. And then chances are, like with every business, you're never going to hire 3 people and they're all going to be there after a year. It was very unlikely anyway. You're going to run through a few.
Have you got any tips for people that are looking to take on a staff member that you've sort of learned from the mistakes you've made. Hey guys, before we get back to the podcast, we just wanted to let you know about a new thing that we've added to the podcast to help support our travels, to support our getting guests on the podcast, and just to overall help us out a little bit with the running costs of a podcast.
And in return of your support, guys, we have put together the Uncleanables Community Hub. And this is a hub where like-minded individuals such as yourself can come together, you can share ideas, you can chat, you can discuss work, all different topics, all under one roof.
So it's super easy to join the community, guys. There's a link in the description below. Just click on that. It will take you through to our YouTube page. On the membership section, you can sign up there. Whether you're listening or watching, it will be in the description of the show notes.
And once again, thanks for your support, guys. Back to the podcast.
I really wish I could help, but it's a proper, until I've figured it out, I don't even think I can. You could say all sorts of things like, oh, just, try and find like-minded people, but that doesn't really work. Try and find people that you get on well with. For me, it hasn't worked that well. Like I said, I've still got a couple of guys now, but I've been through, I think, like 8 in total in the last 18 months. So it's like, I don't know, it's been it's my most challenging problem.
It's definitely a physically demanding job. Cleaning.
And it's the weather and stuff.
I don't like doing a roof. I don't like doing more than one roof a week.
Yeah, and we do one every day.
Yeah, so I can imagine you need to find the right person.
Yeah. Well, you see, when we're doing just a jet washing job, or we've got we've got some quite big gutter contracts, so we basically clear gutters for an entire month of the year. It's all smiles, everyone's having a good time, and then the roof cleaning. And a lot of the time, it's not the job itself, it's because people get used to the physicality of it, they get used to the aches and pains, and you get stronger and you can endure more of it. But it's like water pressure is really low, so you're having to stop every 30 minutes because you keep running out of water, or there's really bad drainage, so there's a massive flood down below, and it's like the guy cleaning is going to be like, that's going to take me hours to sort out at the end of the day. And it's like there's a lot of things in roof cleaning which just drain the morale out of people when they're working. That's probably one of the biggest problems with staff with that job. So, but again, it's something like if you get a guy on that's got a massive roof cleaning business with tons of staff, I'll contact him because I need to figure out the secret. To be honest, it's difficult, but you try your best to have a good time and that. But it can be a tough job. So I understand why it's not for everybody, basically.
A lot of people obviously watching this now will know you from YouTube.
Yes.
So if we can jump on there, what was it like getting into YouTube, and what was it like hitting your first 1,000 subs, 10,000, and then eventually the 100,000?
It was awesome. The reason I started YouTube was in that sort of 3-month gap when I moved here. I was really struggling to get the work, and the reason I actually started was for roof scraping, because selling a roof scrape to a customer when they say how's it going to look after it's done is a very difficult thing, because you're asking for, I think at that time it was I had a minimum charge of 750 quid, so they're forking out a lot of money. And they don't know how it's going to look, so you can try and show pictures, but for a full result on a roof scrape can take 8 to 12 months. So it's it's difficult for people to trust it. So the plan with the YouTube was to do a catalogue of every single type of roof that I'd clean over the course of a year, then go back a year later, take pictures of it, and do a 2-part video that I could send to customers. So that was the original idea.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, so it was just to get work. And then the YouTube ended up getting so popular that I just scrapped that idea as a whole. And the YouTube ended up getting me a lot more work, and people see me doing the jobs, and potential customers as well. They see you busy or appear to be busy online. So they're like, oh, he must be good. So I'll give him a ring, and sort of went from there. And there wasn't really many people doing it, and it was just Do
you feel like you were early to because there's a lot of particularly pressure washing channels, because I keep track of it as best I can. But do you feel like you were quite early to that?
I think so. Trend? Yeah. So you had, when I first started, the reason I started making videos was Bournemouth jet washing. So a lot of the guys watching will know who that is. I really liked watching his videos, and I just thought it's cool. Just had that top-down angle, but I always thought watching his videos, I was like, because I watch a lot of vlog type stuff. I was like, if that thing merged, it'd be quite a good idea. And so that was one of the reasons. And there was a few other guys, but no one was really doing roof cleaning. It was kind of it wasn't there really. So it was kind of a bit of a gap in the market. And I think I was the first channel in the UK to hit 100,000. I think it's probably quite a few now, to be fair. But it was kind of a lucky sort of timing, really, to be honest.
Do you notice the difference between the different types of content? So a ground pressure washing video, a roof pressure washing video, does one perform better than the other?
Definitely the ground stuff does.
Yeah.
Unless you get like a mega roof, like a really mossy one or something, you can get like a wicked thumbnail of it. But roof cleaning, not these days. I've had a couple of videos with roof cleaning that have done really well, but mostly it's the ground surfaces is where the channel really took off, the playgrounds and stuff like that, and doing things for free, and people love watching stuff like that. So that's what really took it off.
So you've got almost 10 videos that have done over 1 million views on your channel.
Yeah.
What's that feeling like when you get a video that does 1 million views?
It's great. I remember the first time it happened, I was on holiday and I felt basically I was just scrolling through the thing and it said I had because I was used to seeing about 1,000 views every day, the total for the last 24 hours, and then it went up to 7,000, then it went to 50, and then it was 70,000, and then it was 120,000, and I was scrolling every second, every minute when it would refresh, I'd have I think it was 2,000 more views and 3,000 more views, and I was sat there with my missus, I was oh my God, what is going on? And it just went and went and went, and I felt like a tremendous amount of pressure, because I was I need to get a video out now, but I'm stuck here on holiday, because I was trying to ride the wave of that video, because I was if I upload another video now, all these people are going to get recommended it. Yeah. So I ended up just scrapping something together, a little talking video. It was a mistake. I just tried to jump on it too much, but I think I ended up deleting it afterwards. But it was awesome. It's such a good feeling. The subscribers was just going up and up and up. And then I just sort of it's a difficult thing with YouTube, because you then try and chase that, and you think every video needs to do that, so it can get a bit mentally draining when you'll have a video that does 1 million, and then you upload the next video and it does
not 1 million.
15,000, which is still a lot, but it's not 1 million.
In comparison.
Let me jump on that, because you two are big on YouTube, and I'm just.
We're not in the same league, but
no. But I mean, but when you have that video that goes viral, you probably both can understand where I'm coming from. Do you sit there and try and work out what part of that video went viral and why it did, and then try and recreate that, or is there no correlation as to what makes a viral video?
It's the million view question, really, isn't it? You could say.
That's the formula. If you've done it,
the ones that do best, are not the ones you expect.
Nah, it never is.
So I did a block paved driveway I uploaded just before Christmas. It's done over 400,000 views. Nice. But it was quite weedy.
I've seen that one.
It wasn't anything.
Yeah, it seems like a luck of the draw. So I remember one of my playground ones that did really well. At the time that I released that video, just so happened to be during COVID, so everybody was at home, and just so happened to be at the same time as the release of Power Washing Simulator. So that game that came out. Now all of these big channels were playing it, so Markiplier, whose gaming channel has got probably 50 million subscribers, all the big names were playing it, because it was a easy thing to play while you're stuck at home. But there's a level in that of cleaning a playground, and it looked eerily similar colour-wise.
Really?
Yeah, to the real playground that I cleaned, and I didn't even know the game was out, but I uploaded this video and that just went to the moon. It just went as viral as a pressure washing video can be. You're never going to have one with 50 million views, but it did. I'm sure it's done a couple of million.
I was going to say, that was one of those, how many has it done?
Yeah, and it just went crazy because of that, because it was getting put in the recommendations of these big channels. If I could figure it out, the best way to get views on YouTube is to do things for free, but it's one of the reasons I stopped doing it, because that became the reason I was doing it. So instead of doing this nice thing, I was thinking this is going to be a great video. So that's basically why I stopped doing that, and I went more into the vlog stuff, because it just sort of didn't feel right to me to do it like that.
I think there's more longevity in the vlog style, right? Well, so
it's a sacrifice of popularity on it, but it makes me more happier, and mentally I feel better doing the videos like that. So
when you say the best thing to do is to do it for free, how will the person watching it know if you've charged or not?
Because it's title and thumbnail, and it's
I clean this for free in the title.
You would really publicise the fact you helped this old girl out for nothing, right? I see what you mean.
Pretty much, basically. But I'll still do all the schools for free and stuff. And to be honest, anything that we usually do now, which is a favour or for free for somebody, I just don't even film it anymore, because it makes me feel like it's actually a thing. But the schools and stuff I'll still always film, because we look after quite a few schools around here, and I've kind of set up a thing every year we'll go do the playgrounds for free. And that's just a thing that I'll probably always do, to be honest, and a lot of it's at my daughter's school anyway, so it's just a standard
That's a nice thing to do. Yeah. That's a really nice thing to do. Kind of brings us on to our next question. I'm going to skip that one, because he's kind of asked it. If you've got to give someone wanting to start YouTube 3 pieces of advice, the best bits of advice you can think of, what would they be?
So, view wise, to just purely build up views and followers, is I'd say you really do need to engage with your audience. So you've got to show them your face. You've got to do a little bit. I talk way too much, and it's my biggest hate comment on my channel, but do a little bit of talking just to keep people engaged, explain to people what you're doing, this is how you're going to do it, and pretty much, anything catchy. So go and get in contact with a local school and clean the stuff for free, or if your own grandma, just something like that, you know what I mean? I helped my nan out and I've cleaned a patio, just things like that. People love to see, it's heartwarming. Realistically, it is a win-win, so you're getting a great video out of it, and somebody that you're helping out is getting something for free. So if just purely for views, that's a good way to do it. But like I say, the reason I stopped was because it was kind of stressing me out a little bit, and you sort of feel like, I've got to hunt down this thing to do for free.
The pressure to find new content is
big,
the worst
but
part.
It can be a really good base to just start up, and then you can start getting your own stuff out there. Basically, that's all I could say. Just kind of consistency actually is the number one main thing. So if you set a schedule, so it could be a video every Monday and Friday, for example, or Sunday is a good day to upload as well. That's probably the most important one. No matter what you do, you've got to be consistent, because YouTube do not want to advertise you if you upload once every 3 months, unless it's a mega video, because there's a few channels I watch, they'll only upload like once every 6 months, but it's so mind-blowing that everybody tunes in when they see it. But majority of channels, like a geezer just jet washing a patio, if you don't upload for 3 months and you've got 1,000 subscribers,
your history,
probably 50 might tune back in, you know what I mean? So you've got to stay in front of people's faces, basically.
So you, on your channel, you've cleaned planes, tanks, and more roofs than you can shake a stick at. Do you have a dream clean, like something that?
I do, yeah.
Go on, tell us about it.
I don't know if it's ever going to be possible, but it's a submarine. So sticking with the sort of automotive and military sort of theme, I've always wanted to do a submarine. So there's going to be some out there that are at some rich millionaire's house that's got something, and it's retired. Obviously, it probably won't be active, but it's probably. I want to find one basically submerged in water. Just think of how green it would be. Get it lifted up, and then do a big clean on it. I just think it would be the coolest thing ever. So, but if you had asked me a couple of years ago, it would have been like a jet, like a bomber jet, and we did it. So it's possible. I just need to find a submarine. I've joined a submarine group on Facebook, like, honestly, because there is people that have them. Because I was like, is it even legal to have one? But it is. You can have them. So basically, I just need to find the right guy, and hopefully I'll get it one day. Yeah. But it probably wouldn't get any views because it's probably in a dark, dim lit area. You won't be able to see what's going. But I just want to do it.
You might find someone who's got like a dock at the end of their garden.
That's the key.
Something.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah.
How did that kind of like gimmicky clean come about? Because you've cleaned a lot of weird stuff, didn't you?
Yeah. So the first one was a jet. So it was a bomber jet. So it would carry small like nuclear missiles basically. But it's at an airfield just up the road from it. So every day when I was going to work, I'd pass it. And I've always loved military stuff anyway. So I emailed them one day. I was like, I'd love to give it a clean, because I could see it was all dusty and green and stuff. And he was like, we're actually about to clean it anyway to prep it, because we're sanding it down and repainting it. And I was like, I'll do it. So I was like, I don't want payment, just let me film a vid. So we had to get the airstrip closed for the day purely so I could fly a drone. So yeah, because I was like, you can't clean a jet without having a drone flying around. But it ended up being like the mistiest day ever, and it was the first day that I'd used the DJI drone, and I sent it way too high, and because it was so misty I went above the fog, and it thought the fog was the ground, so I had the drone stuck in the air till it ran out of battery. But luckily it did a bit of a controlled descent and I had to catch it at the end. But that's how that started. And then I remember with the tanks, there's a guy called Mr. Hughes on YouTube. He's got a great channel. Some of you people have probably seen him. He fixes up tanks and stuff like that.
I've seen him.
And have you seen Whistling Diesel?
Yeah.
So he came over to England to Joe's place, bought a tank off him, and that's when I messaged Joe, because I saw the video. I was like, let me clean that, because they have to get them all fully cleaned before they can be sent overseas, and it's got to be like pristinely cleaned. There can't be any mud, anything like that left on them.
Is that right?
Yeah, because for the transport to go on the ship, and they're really strict. So I said to Joe, I was like, I'll come and help, let me clean the tank for a vid. And he was like, yeah, come on over. And I've done quite a few of his vehicles now.
I love that tank video. I thought it was quality. That shot of you standing
on the top of it is brilliant.
It's like with the van in the back. It's the coolest advertising photo ever, you know what I mean? It's like, if we can clean a tank and a jet, we can clean your patio, no problem. You know what I mean? Do
you think someone could have a full-time business just making YouTube videos? And is it something you would ever consider?
Yeah. I did consider it for a long time. Yeah, absolutely. So I've always said if I carried on with YouTube, I'd probably have a lot more cash in the bank right now. But the way that I've always put it, I don't want to put my future in an algorithm. I want it to be something that I can control. And I think with YouTube, I think it's fairly straightforward to make a couple of grand a month, and you can maintain that quite easily. Once you get to your channel to a certain point, just upload regularly and you'll maintain it as long as you try and keep things interesting. But trying to have a great life, obviously as business owners ourselves, we want to shoot for the moon and everything. Trying to keep up that level of YouTube to make really good money on it that could rival having a business is like more of a full-time job, I think, than actually running a business. It's mentally as well, you're always thinking about it, because if you don't upload, you don't make any money, and it's there's a whole process. But you definitely can make a great living on it. You can make more money on YouTube, I think, than
it's easier to scale, isn't it?
Yeah, there's like so many multi-millionaires on that it's crazy. But yeah, I did think about it, but like I said, I didn't want to. Oh, nearly. It's a bit dusty, isn't it?
It's going to come back.
Yeah, it will do. But yeah, I didn't want to put my future in an algorithm, because YouTube could go tomorrow as well. You know what I mean? It could get shut down and that's it. Or there could be an adpocalypse and everybody makes no money again and things like that. So I did think about it, but I made the choice. I was like, that's why I basically took last year off from YouTube, because I was like, I was doing it too much and my business was suffering a bit for it. So I was like, I need to take a year really and just lock in, try and get a place like this and just try and get a load of things done. And then I'll go back to YouTube if things are right, and sort of that's kind of what I'm doing now. So
makes sense. So getting back to the business, what forms of marketing do you do for your business?
So for the past 18 months, I've primarily done Facebook advertising. So it's just paid adverts on Facebook basically, and they rotate around your local areas. So you'll have a budget and it'll be like X amount, like for 1 week it will be in Rugeley, 1 week it will be in Tamworth. I know you don't know these places, but it kind of just rotates around basically. So people sort of like, get used to seeing you in a sense. So that's what I've done for about 18 months, but I've recently stopped it as we spoke about, trying to get a house and stuff. So yeah, it's been good. Lead quality is a bit naff on Facebook. It's kind of, because you're putting yourself in front of them instead of them searching for you, it's kind of a bit of a dice roll, basically. So a lot of people fill out your little form and you'll ring them up to quote and they'll never answer the phone. If you have 10 leads come through, 3 of them probably will never pick up the phone. So now you've got 7 leads left, and now you've got to try and arrange to go and see 7 of them, and people work all these. It's very difficult. So yeah, I'll be moving away from it, but yeah.
Rank best to worst. What do you reckon your top 3 marketing forms are?
To be honest, I've only really done Facebook, so I think Google is much higher quality leads, but might be a bit more expensive. I don't know. You'll probably know more about that than me, to be honest.
Right, yeah.
And then I think leaflets are probably a fairly safe bet. But yeah, so for me, Facebook's my only one because it's all I've used. But yeah,
Facebook's number 1 for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
apart from door knocking, actually, sorry to interrupt you. Door knocking is king. Like,
door knocking is number 1 for everyone. What are your plans for 2025, and then after that, next 3 and 5 years?
So the plan for this year was to do 250 roofs, overshooting a little bit, and happy settling on about 220. We did 186 last year, so it's just a bit of an extra jump. And then I wanted the turnover to be around 350 for the year. And then what was the latter part of that question, sorry?
For the next 3 and 5 years as well, just
basically incremental jumps, basically. So just each year go up a little bit more. So try and turnover wise, try go up by 70, 80, 100 a year if possible. And obviously scale everything up to do that. I sort of worked out, I think each van has a potential to do around 120, so that'd be 2 guys in each van. We could probably get anywhere from 120 to 150,000 pound in turnover a year. So that's sort of the way that I think about it. Each van can, so a van a year basically would be the ideal scenario. So.
Just touching on that, because we've spoken to a few people about roof cleaning bits and pieces, and everyone seems to say the same thing. If something goes wrong when you're roof cleaning, it's going to be awfully expensive.
Oh yeah.
So judging by going by the fact you've cleaned so many roofs, how often is a breakage, or how often have you flooded someone's bedroom or however?
So
What's your biggest
we've
problem?
never had a big flood on a roof. We've done, I can't remember the exact number now. It's around 700 total roofs we've cleaned. And we've had a couple of small drips basically. There's a couple where we've known it was going to happen because the customer said that if the customer says the roof leaks, you can bet when you clean the roof there's going to be some water coming in. So we'll just send one of the lads up into the loft with a bucket just ready on that particular part where she said it's leaking. So whenever we've done that, it's been small drips basically. We had one last week actually. I said it was going to be a no leak 2025, of course not.
As soon as you say it, that's when stuff goes wrong.
Exactly, yeah. But she said it has been leaking. It's a really weird house as well, to be honest. So I said to her, look, we can scrape it. It's going to take a bit longer for results, or we can hot wash it. And she was like, I'd rather just it look better straight away. I was like, yeah, but it's probably going to have a bit of water come in. And she was like, oh, okay, it's fine. And then the guys cleaned it and had a bit of water come through, just basically down in front of the windows, like behind the windows, it came through. And she got frustrated by it, and I was like, I had it in writing on the email that we sort of agreed this clause to say that it's not our fault, it's been leaking. And then the guys sent me a picture. The whole side of the wall had an orange old damp patch on it. So she's had this leak forever, but it was just one of them. But it happens sometimes, it's always going to happen using water. If the roof's faulty and there's a hole in it, the water's going to get in. But with how quickly that you clean the roof, the amount of water that can actually even possibly get in is very slim. And the real key for roof cleans is to not let any standing water sit on it. So if there's a valley going down and it's full of moss, clear the moss out before you start cleaning.
Let the water run.
Exactly.
Off,
You need everything to be constantly running. Chimneys are the biggest danger point. You know, when you get them big grass patches behind a chimney where it sits on the lead flashing, that's like the biggest danger point on a roof, because you're cleaning behind the chimney, the water's getting caught there, and that's just going to keep rising until it ends up being higher than
running over the back of the tile,
basically. So that, again, that's always a thing. So going back to the training that I said before with the guys, it's trusting a fairly newer guy on a roof when you've got all these things to look out for. And I'd say there's probably been 100 roofs that I've done. If I didn't do it and put somebody on it that's only cleaned roofs for 3 months, they would have had a roof leak, but we didn't, because I've spotted the problem, you know what I mean, and avoided it straight away. But yeah, we've never had an insurance claim, we've never had a major basically problem. It's been tiny little things.
Have you ever considered doing a training course from your side of things, like not necessarily for your staff, but just for
just in general? Yeah. So I did actually start that last year. I stopped it over this winter period because I don't want to have guys come down and it's frozen and we can't do anything. But basically I was taking 3 guys max out on a real job with us. So it'd be like, I'll be with them, we'll do the back of the house, I'll have my guys just doing the front, making sure we get the job done. But essentially we'll spend, usually on bungalows, so we don't have to worry about scaffolding, but we'll basically just spend all day on the roof, start to finish, and that's how I've been trying to train people up. And it's usually people that've already got most of the equipment, they're just dabbling anyway, and they've probably got jet washing experience on the ground, or they've been scraping, so it's a lot easier than just training like a new guy that's never even looked at a pole before, you know?
Yeah, have you found that's quite a lucrative thing to do, or is it more for like sort of like from a giving back kind of?
It's I'm planning on making it its own mini business basically. I will start it back up again in the spring and sort of streamline it. I only did a couple of dates last year, but everyone really liked it, and I started like a little WhatsApp group as well, so everybody that's been on it will be in that group. That's and good. Then we can have a little network and help each other out, and hopefully come together on big jobs and make some friends, you know.
Apart from coming on here, what's been the highlight of your career?
I can't beat this guy. I can't. The highlight.
Podcast virginity, by the way.
Yeah, this is my first ever one, so I was a bit nervous actually. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous, but I think there's been a lot. Honestly, there's been a lot. I can honestly say nearly every day, even when my van was set on fire and I've had a million problems and the unit was flooded, every day I've been at work, I've had a good day. Yeah. So there's been, of course, there'll be like monetary milestones. I remember when we did tipped over the first 100k in turnover, I felt like a boss. And I always said, it was quite funny, I remember saying to my missus, I said, when I get my business up to a point that I'll make 100 grand in a year, I want to buy myself a Rolex for like 20 grand. I got to the point when we turned over the first 100, I had a couple of pennies left over. I was like, holding your socks, I know, about it. But it was such a good feeling to know we've done it, to know that me, the basically lazy piece of S word that I've been for like most of my teens and early 20s, could have turned it all around and done that was like it was like proving something to myself, because I always said it when I was a kid. I was like, I'm going to be rich one day, I'm going to be rich, and I was like, I actually could be one day if I carry on. So
good luck to you, mate.
Yeah,
that's wicked. Cool. On the flip side of that, what's been the most challenging decision you've had to make for your business?
I think it was like hiring people in general. So you get to like a bit of an awkward stage. I think you're at it now, where you're making money and like good money, and then it's
all the way.
Basically, basically, and you're at that point and you're like, I need to go to the next level, but I've only got so many hours in the day. So you sort of cut away a piece of your income and a piece of yourself really, and you sort of start handing it out to people. Problem is that you'll probably find it'll probably go quite well, and then you go, I'm gonna get another one now. I'm gonna get another guy, and then another guy, and it goes like that, and then all of a sudden it can all implode because you haven't it's very difficult. It's been the hardest thing, is kind of like letting go a little bit and doing it, and then when it comes to the day where somebody's underperforming and you've got to say, I can't do this anymore, mate, that's like a tough, because I'm not like a strict guy at all, I'm not like that, so having to sort of tell somebody to get your things and go is not a nice thing.
I had to sack my brother once.
Yeah, well, same.
It was horrible. It was not good at all. Have you got anything else to add?
Yeah, of course.
I know. We always like to do Dan's added section that didn't exist in the question.
No, it's just a passing comment that you just made. You said your van got set on fire?
Twice.
So is that like...
So once was by me, once was by a guy that was working for me. It's refueling. So because our machines are van mounted, the first time it happened, I have refueled the exact same way. I remember working out that time over 1,000 times. So the machine's just run out of fuel. I've run back to the van like, I'm trying to get this job done, and just started fueling it up immediately. Not spilling any fuel or anything like that, just funneling. I've got quite a big funnel and just filled it up. Done that way 1,000 times, and then for one day in particular, right at the end of a job, so I literally just had the rinse down, and I know the best thing to do is to wait for 5 minutes, let your machine cool down, but I was like, I just want to get the job done. Cap off, funneling, started pouring it, and then it's sort of like, you know when your fuel can like gulps, it doesn't have like a stream, it sort of like does like a gulp and shot out, so it splashed, and then it must have been like one little bit of fuel landed on the exhaust, big flame came up into the fuel can, and then just started spilling out of my fuel tank, and I had like a jet stream coming out the top of the petrol tank, and obviously this machine is in the back of my van, mounted. So I
didn't know that could catch fire. I'm not lying. Yeah. I've done that before.
Yeah, you got to be really careful.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've never done it since. I always let it cool down. But and everything just started going up, mate. And I had like my face, it like that stream that was coming out, it like singed all my hat and everything. But I was like, I shouted to the guy. I was like, I had this guy that he'd come over from South Africa to like train with me for a bit. And I was like, Cameron, water. And he was there like panicking. Instead of going to the tap and filling the bucket, he was trying to get to the like, little puddles that were left on the drive.
Yeah, instant panic.
Luckily I've got the big water tank attached. So I just flipped the lever down on that, grabbed a bucket from the top, and I was just, you're not even meant to do that, I don't think. But I didn't have a fire extinguisher, just stupid, mate. And then I was just dousing it, and then I ended up like, I'd sort of splashed it, and the fire spread. And I just let that bucket fill up just like 10 seconds more and just risked it. And then I just poured it on top of the fuel tank. Because the fuel tank was on fire, it was just spitting fire out basically. So it was just catching every little bit. And but it burnt all the poles, burnt all the machine, I had to have a full rebuild of everything. And once I put the fire out, I looked behind me in the road and the fuel can was just, I'd literally launched it behind my head. And that was in like a pool of fire, like in the road.
And did the staff member do like the same thing?
No, he just panicked, mate. He ended up getting some water from the tap, and that's when he ran over to the fuel tank in the road instead of the fire on the van, which had all of our worldly possessions in it. I had about 50 grand's worth of stuff in that van, including the van as well, so it would have been a catastrophic loss. And then less than 8 months later, a guy that had only been working for like a month, he did the same thing, and but luckily that was my dad, I think, was right there, and the machine was still running. So my dad just like blasted the machine like with the turbo nozzle and just put it out pretty quick.
Fire extinguisher on the van.
But that was the scariest thing that's ever happened, because in front of my eyes, everything I'd worked for was just
burning
going
down,
up.
Yeah, totally.
And I remember we were on the way home, and I said to Cameron, I was like, I'm not even mad at what's just happened, because like I feel so lucky that we're driving home now.
Yeah.
Because we could be sat on the side of the road at the moment, and the fire engine could be putting out fire in the entire van. Yeah. So I felt really lucky with that, to be honest. And I'd like to say it never happened again, but it did. Like a year later. But it's not happened since. So.
Hopefully not again.
Yeah.
Have you got any more plans to expand, like, soon, or are you sort of going to work on getting the staffing sorted first?
Yeah, I've got a new guy at the moment that is just in the start of the training process. So I like to do like the first month is kind of like a ease in. So we call them just the groundsman for a bit, basically. They stay on the ground, they don't really do anything high up, and sweep up, help tidy up, pack the van, load the scaffolding, all that sort of stuff. So then now from Monday, he's going to be starting to get stuck in. So I'll give him a few months, see where he's at. If he's doing really well, I'll think about getting another guy. And then the vans will be full up then, because that'll be 4 of us in total again. And we'll work like that probably through the summer. If we start getting really busy, then I'll think about another van. But I remember from last year, we had a little bit of a dry spell around the summer holidays, and it spooked me a bit because I had 6 staff in total at that point.
Really?
And what was remaining, because we're usually about 6 weeks booked up, we like burnt through that 6 weeks really quick, and like nothing else was coming in. I remember getting like 3 weeks into it, and I was like, I think we've only booked, like, we've done 3 weeks, so 15 jobs at least, probably more like 20 jobs. And I think I'd booked 5 more in, and I was like, oh shit, we're running out. And there was one point I think we had 6 days of work left, and I just had to scramble. I was like calling old customers up, and there was like jobs that I didn't want to do, so I'd sort of like remember them calling me up, and I was like, oh, I don't really want that. So like, because I was so busy, I was like, oh, I don't care, I'll just kind of ignore it. And I was like, I need them. I was like, I never should have ignored that call. I need you. And I scrambled, and we luckily survived. It was just weird. It was like a 6-week stretch, and like.
When do you find the busiest period of the year is for roof cleaning?
All year round it's steady, but around about now it starts to get a little bit funky. So sort of February, March time, it starts to go, and then it'll be great all through the spring, start of summer, and then it tapers off a little bit when people start going on holiday.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit more of an expensive job. It's like people are kind of weighing up holiday, house improvements. Yeah, but like gutters and window driveways and stuff, they're usually, depending on the size, but usually a lot lower priced. So they sort of don't drop off. They get busier in those summer holiday regions, really, because people can do both. They'll go on holiday and have the drive done. But yeah, the roof, it's a bit of a chunk off the wage packet, so can slow down a little bit.
A business's size, what does kind of your diary looking forward look like? I mean, how many weeks roughly do you run with work booked in? Are you booked up for can you be booked up months in advance?
So I have been, and it stresses me out to the max, because there was a point last year, I think it was like 3 months. This happened every year. I get like 3 months booked out, and that's a danger point, because new customers coming in don't want to wait 3 months to have their roof cleaned. Yeah. So I feel like you're losing a lot of work that way. And also the same thing, if I'm only booked out for a month, I'm panicking, because I'm like, we can fly through that really quickly. Well, in a month, basically. Yeah. So I like to be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks max, because we work 5 to 6 days a week, depending on what's going on. And we are literally, unless it's a big job, we are doing a roof basically every day. So it's, if you're thinking of a month, it's 20 roofs a month. So that's my figure. If I can get 20 to 30 roofs booked in a month, I know we're always moving. We're never going to do more than that unless I get another van. So it's sort of, we could actually do more than that with the 2 vans. I think one van could probably do 15 roofs a month, and the other one could do 15, but I think it takes kind of a well-oiled machine.
Are you going to ask the same question I am? Do they always go out in pairs?
No, yes and no. So at the moment, because we've got like only 3 of us at the moment, so usually we go out in teams of 2. So we'll do like, if it's a big roof, we'll put both vans on it. If it's a small roof, it's just a 1 van thing. And there's obviously, because we get a lot of gutters, driveways and stuff, so usually the other van will do some smaller jobs. And then depending on the time of year, so in spring and summer, we have a couple of days in the week, we'll try and do 2 roofs in that day, like 2 small 3-bed semis and stuff.
The days are a little bit longer.
Yeah, for sure. It's not worth it in the winter. We usually put both vans on it in the winter, just in case. So apart from if it's a 3-bed, if it's like a 4-bed house that could be done in a day with 1 van, I just make it safe, and we'll put, even basically what I'll do, I'll go and do the front and go home, we'll come back here and do some admin and just leave them to finish the rest of the job, basically. So that's what happened most of winter, to be honest. So it's actually quite fun to work in the winter, to be fair.
Perfect. So I think that's everything we've got to ask. We like to finish these podcasts with just a light-hearted question to get listeners get to know you a little bit better. But what do you do for fun when you're not cleaning roofs?
That is my fun, man. I love it. I do actually love it.
Thinking about cleaning roofs. That's fun.
I just started playing guitar again. So that was something I used to really love doing. And I just, since starting all this bloody business, it was like all of my fun stuff just disappeared. It was just work.
Third person to say that over this road trip.
You guys are probably the same, aren't you? Really? It's so consuming. You go on holiday every bloody week, I know from the podcast.
do you know what? I was thinking about this last night.
It's not a real person, though. It's just like living it up.
No. I'll tell you what, you're another person to say that. But the problem is, we record every week. Yeah, so you're gonna know I'm on holiday because we record every week.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? It's like if we recorded and had like 3 or 4 stockpiled.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know because we would just launch that one while I'm away.
You're always on holiday.
No, I just like going on holiday. I'm not always on holiday. You just, you know what I mean?
Well, I suppose so with these, are you releasing them one a week?
Yeah.
So you've got it in the bank then.
Yeah.
We record on a Monday. It comes out on a Saturday, and then these guest episodes will come out on a Wednesday now.
Yeah.
So throughout most of this year, there'll be 2 episodes a week.
Wow.
But
are you going to do this every year?
The idea is to come back, get everyone on 12 months later.
Yeah.
Because we're asked what your plans are, we can then come back and say, look, this is what
I'll just be moaning about staff and everything.
But and then the more people we reach out to, it feels the diary easier.
Yeah.
But ideally, we'd like to get something like this down the line, or maybe slightly bigger, where we can have a dedicated podcast room.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because at the moment, the warehouse that we've got has electric, but it has no water.
Yeah.
So there's no toilet. It's on the piss a little bit, isn't it? It's like
So are you staying there now, or are you moving from there?
For the time being, we're staying just because I've decided to put that money that we would have spent on the unit into the business, which is allowing me to grow and then take on staff members. And then when the staff members come in and it frees up my time a little bit, then we've got more time to do cool stuff. So
when's your staff member coming then? Are you ready
for 3 days next week?
Assuming
because I said to him, so he worked for me in my last business, so I already know he's reliable and he's got a good work ethic. But I said, I don't want you to hand your notice in at your job, then start with me and think, what the fuck have I done?
Yeah.
So I said, call in sick, come with me 3 days, make sure you're happy with it. It's my 3 busiest days of the month.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is almost as bad as it gets. It's not a roof scrape, so it could get a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But they're busy window days. I said, if you're happy, you can hand in your notice on the Thursday, and then you'll start 4 weeks later.
Oh, well, good luck. That'll be good. So have you guys done any like roof jet washing?
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Quite a few. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Dan used to do them with me when he was less busy. But now that I'm taking on staff, I'm coming away from it.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing a scrape, but I don't want the hassle of someone who's not known what to do and hasn't got that. It's my business. I want to make sure nothing goes wrong. Yeah.
I always say to the guys, all you need to think about in the job, it's my first couple of jobs when I was doing the care work, that was my first work that I did. I'd got that job the day I turned 18. And I remember saying to my mum, I was like, because I was going out a lot at that time, getting into trouble and things. And I said to my mum, I was like, if there's like some crazy person in the care home and they like punch me in the face, I feel like my natural reaction would be to like do that. I was like really worried about
it. Deckham?
Yeah, basically. I was really worried. It's just like a reaction, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
You're young and you're a teenager and that. And she was like, all you need to think is, imagine that each person, no matter what they look like and who they are, imagine it was your nan or your granddad, and my grandparents had passed away at this point fairly recently. And I was like, that's always stuck in my head. And it made me brilliant at that job. I'd never even got frustrated at anybody because I always just thought, imagine if it was nan or granddad.
Yeah.
And I've took that same approach to this business. So that's what I try and tell everybody. Imagine each customer's house is your nan's house or your granddad's house, because everybody's got one, whether they like them or not, but most people like their grandparents. How would you want it to look if you turned up and there'd just been there's some tradesmen at their house? You'd want them to be really kind to your grandparents. You'd want them to go out of their way to help you out, go the extra mile on the job for them, and leave it looking pristine. You wouldn't want to drive and go around and there's mud all up the wall and You know, even like mud on the bushes after you've cleaned the drive. It's little things like that that will set you apart, you know what I mean? So you'll see on videos when I'm jet washing and there's bushes, as soon as I finish turbo nozzling, the first thing I'll do is I'll quickly rinse them before the mud dries on the leaves. Because once it dries on the leaves, you can't get it off, you know what I mean? It's always constantly gun off, rinse real quick as I'm going, and it's all to make everything as neat and tidy as possible, because I'm like a freak for it, so like it has to be clean. And I think that's why I have trouble with staff, because I get so frustrated, because it's tough.
I think that's the trouble when you take on staff members. You've got to realise there is going to be a drop in quality. Of course, and it's minimising the amount.
Exactly, It's a little checklist really at the end of a job. Just each face of the house, have a good spend 30 seconds. Is it clean? Yes. It's a very simple job. I always say to people as well, it's the easiest job in the world really. Is it clean? If the answer's no, then fucking clean it. If the answer's yes, job done, go home. You know what I mean?
But I'm going to have him come out with me for 3 months before I even think about getting him.
I think it's a good idea,
and make sure everyone's happy.
You'll get a lot of variety as well. And
that's it, Like 3 months allows him to visit every house that I cover, because the biggest time apart is 12 weeks. And then during that 12 weeks, you're going to end up doing a roof scrape at some point, a pressure washing job.
I think actually a bit of advice from me, it's something I don't do, which I always regret not doing, is taking just that bit of extra time every single day to really go through. Even if you've shown them something like the previous week, just go through it again. Say, come here, mate. Like, just, this is how I do it, look. This is why I'm doing it like this. Because I don't really do that. I'll say something once to somebody and it's kind of like, I just think, you've got it, surely.
I know what you mean.
You know, but when you do it every day, like we do, it's like, for me, it's second nature. I could literally do it in my sleep. Roof cleaning, I can actually do it one-handed. It's very easy to me, but to somebody else, it's like, this is not my pole.
And they've got the added pressure.
I know what you mean.
They're an employee. So they're trying to impress you.
And so they get like stressed and they'll make a lot of mistakes.
They're not just trying to do the job. They're trying to do the job and make sure that you're happy as well. And it must be very.
I had a lad really trying to like rush to like get this bit of roof done. He was a really nice kid, and as he put the foot pedal on the scaffolding, he went up and opened the thing, but he put the foot pedal on top of the hatch, so the foot pedal just swung down. And I had the conversation with him because he was quite heavy-handed with the kit. And I said, mate, just walk me for a minute. This pole, it's £1,000. This foot pedal, 500 quid. And I told him the prices of all these things and he was like shocked. And then it was like, must have been the day after he did that, the foot pedal drops off, and he was only a young lad. And he came around and he was really sad, and he was like, I've just broken, and it literally did, snapped the end off everything. So we couldn't use it that day to go get it repaired. And I was like, because I was at the scaffolding on the back, and I was like, bloody hell, I told you about being heavy-handed. And I come back round, he'd walked off down the road and he was so upset, and I was like, nah, sorry mate, it's not a big deal, it's just a foot pedal, mate. I know it's not your fault, you know what I mean? So it's tough.
I always say to when I had staff before, and it was like, when you do something wrong, I'm going to be annoyed. That's the
just reaction. For a second usually as well.
It's like, as long as you're safe, and it's a problem we can fix.
And as long as
just let me be annoyed for a little while.
As long as it's not one of the Lamborghinis on the customer's drive, please. You know what I mean?
But, as long as you've not like bricked their house, like
so I say, because I'm not a shouter or anything like that. I'm a little bit too chill, to be honest, with a lot of things. So I think when some people see me go like, they're like, oh no, I've really bothered him now. I've really done it this time. I'm going to get the sack. But
it's funny you should mention that, because we interviewed Patrick from Abacus. And they've grown very, very quickly in 7 years. And he said when he was around the staff, there was a lot more like Mickey taking. But as soon as he removed himself, or him and his dad and his brother removed themselves from like the day-to-day dealing with the staff, obviously they're a much larger size, but they put in middle management, he said all of that went away.
Really?
And it was that whole reason. They were far too friendly with the staff.
There's a fine line, isn't there, really? I think.
Just putting that little barrier in between. He said it was like black and white, didn't he? It was like a different,
very interesting
business overnight.
I think people have said the same in a YouTube vid I put out recently. There's a lot of stuff like that. So you should think about like someone in the like a mediator, like a manager. But I'm like, I can't pay another bloody set of wages for somebody.
It's difficult, but you've got to find your own.
I think it's definitely worth it. You get sort of up above 10 people, it would be like, I think you kind of need that, don't you? But it's one of them.
Anyway, we're all done.
Is that it?
Do you know how to see us out?
I don't know. How do we do it?
We say a phrase called stay cleaning.
Stay clean.
So we're going to look at the camera.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. And remember,
stay cleaning.
There we are. That was alright, wasn't it?
That was wicked. Well done, Sid.
I'm a fucking waffle.